Hey, what's up, guys? This is TBone here. Welcome back to another episode of playing Legendary Game of Heroes. So apologies for not having made a video earlier. I wanted to, but I just didn't get a chance to do it. But I do want to talk about the teams that I am using this event, and also what cards you could be building around that could help you be successful. Now, this particular event was a good one for me because I didn't actually need to use the event deck. If you saw from my live stream, I didn't get lucky at all. I don't even have the event card from this event. And so what am I using? Well, I'm using currently a combination that focuses around hard-won gorillas. Again, this is a card that I highly recommend you getting from the Proving Ground store because this card, along with the Freedom Fighters, are the two most versatile and the most universally good cards that you'll always find yourself using in the event that it's relevant. Like in any Earth event or any Dark event, these cards will always be good to use. And this is a nuke card, and because it's Arcane Killer, it works really well. And it also pairs extremely well with the Jailers. The Jailers was the highest ranked ultimate form in the season that I had ranked because it gives you a attack boost and it stacks as long as you can do a turn delay. And that's why it works really well with the Defiant Duet. The Defiant Duet, not only does it give you a turn delay, it also creates more powerful power gen force every time a turn delay skill is used. And so pairing that with the Jailer squad is going to be able to help you fill up the board. And Consecrated Wizardess also gives you that attack boost, so you can double up the attack boost here. And so this is the main team that I am using. And notice that for relics, I'm also just using relics that I got from the Commander event. I didn't even use the relics from this event. I could if I wanted to. It doesn't really matter here because as long as the right card is on your team, all of your Arcane Killer cards will be boosted here. And the main thing I want to boost here is the Hard-Won Gorillas. So I would try to awaken as much as I could. You basically want to give it as much damage boost as you can because its nuke damage is going to be significant. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you how much damage it can deal. And there is a boss here that has 4.5 trillion. And I'm going to use this main deck here, and I'll do a 3-key attack just to help you understand why this team is so formidable. Now keep in mind, with Hard-Won Gorillas, whatever damage this card deals, if you're using a 3-key attack, it will then do a nuke damage the following turn for 5 times of that amount. And so what we're going to do is we're going to activate Defiant Duet first to kick off the skill that will give you more power gems every time a turn delay skill is used. A lot of people often ask, what is the activation order of these cards? I think it's just important to know what needs to go first and what needs to go last, and then you can kind of just understand it afterwards. So if you take a look at the damage here, my Hard-Won Gorillas was able to deal 58.8 trillion damage because of its own attack damage boost, and also because of the boost from the Jailer's cards. Okay, and now keep in mind, that basically is almost 60 trillion, and I hover between 60 to 58, 59. And the nuke damage after that in the following turn is about 300 trillion. And so in a Slayer event, if you can attack fast, that means you're going to be able to get the right, that amount of damage in a situation where that can make a difference between getting 50% or MVP or at least 20% on these prestige level 5 bosses. And so if you have this combination, I highly recommend you using it because you're going to be able to jump into a boss, quickly deal some damage because that's a turn 2 attack followed by a quick turn 3 damage. So if you can get your turn 2 attack in, you'll be able to get that 300 trillion in your pocket, and that is going to make a difference between having those trophies and not. Now let's talk about some of the other decks, because not everybody will have this particular deck with the combination of Jailers, the Defiant Duet, and the Hard-Won Gorillas. But as I mentioned, Hard-Won Gorillas is a card that is available, both the Master Collection card and also the Ultra Rare card is actually in the Proving Ground stores today. Okay, so you got Voltreon and also Scale Plated Slasher. Now, Scale Plated Slasher was a card that was available as a collection card a while ago, and so my hope is that you have already one of the 2 cards that you needed, and you just needed to get the other one from the Proving Ground store to sort of complete your collection. I actually used the Proving Ground store to get myself a second copy of Voltreon to get myself my 2-star Hard-Won Gorillas. And so it is an extremely useful card. Highly, highly recommended. Even though this event will be over soon, it's still worth using for future events because you can always use it. Now let's take a look at some of the other options here. Like I said, not everybody will have everything. And so some of the other ideas I was thinking about here, keep in mind that you can still do an attack boost with if you have consecrated wizards, but you don't have the full ultimate form, for example, this is actually a good opportunity for you to to try something still. Now if you have the Defiant Duet, then you'll want to use it. If you don't, a Yorn Swarmer, or you can even pick up a card like one of the cards that you can get from the dust shop is Hercules, for example, or you could pick up there's many examples. There are the Reforged Hippolyta, for example. Like, those cards all do turn delay. In fact, it doesn't even need to be an Earth card. As long as a card gives you a turn delay, you'll be able to get the Consecrated Wizards to boost. And so, just for example, I'm using Yorn Swarmers. But like I said, any turn delay card here will work just as well. And so I'm using this card, again, centering around Hard-Won Gorillas. This time, Hard-Won Gorillas is going to be the leader card. And I have United Taurus here for me to, create some power gems. And I also have Abarca here who is going to help me, create additional power gems. And so this is a boosted card. Let's see how much damage we can deal with this setup. So now we're going to change this here. And we're going to show you basically the power of attack boost is really significant. Okay, so this is truly sort of like the best way to get more damage out of your cards is by using cards that have attack boost. So anytime you see a deck that comes out that has the attack boost capability, that's a deck that you should focus going after. So now in terms of activation order, you just need to activate Abarca last. I put in the United Taurus because this card gives me at least 4 Power Gem Force, which is really required to help power up Abarca. And so now I have almost a full board of power gems. And when we activate this, you can see that the amount of damage I can deal here is 9.1 trillion. Now this is with the Consecrated Wizards 1 stack boost, giving me 1200% damage boost on my attack. Okay, and so that is a significant boost to my damage. And I'm going to show you how much damage I can deal now if I didn't have that boost here. What I need to do is I need to find a boss that has high enough health. This one should be fine. And so this one now is an example where I don't have the damage boost. And so I'm also using, I'm basically using everything I have at my disposal to help me, generate as many power gems as I can. Dame Ragnell was one of the cards that was available when we had the event for mercenary bosses. So if you got this card can also give you power gem Force. In fact, it's 4 of them on its own. So it does help power up Abarca. I'm using cards that were offered previously or are available that hopefully you have in your deck. And the Verdant Druid was the other card, other ultimate form that I ranked second actually as one that you should go after. It ranked just below the Dark Golem deck. But let's take a look here and see what we can do here. Now, you can really change these however you want. Really, all I'm trying to showcase here is that Hard-Won Gorillas on its own is going to be your best friend, really, just because it's got that nuke capability. So that if you can't deal enough damage the first time, well, you still have the second turn to help you out. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and activate all of these cards. Now, the thing to keep in mind here is Verdant Druids, you actually don't want to activate because it's a nuke card, so you don't actually want to do that. And now what we're going to do here is we're going to do our power gem swap and see how much damage we have. Unfortunately, we have 1 gem that we couldn't actually use. So you notice the difference in damage output here. So it's 1.7 trillion damage with 3 key attack, and this is without the attack boost. So really, you can just see how much of a difference the damage output can be. Now, our damage output is slightly lower because we had 1 gem that we couldn't actually convert to a green gem. The number of power gems you have on the board actually does impact the amount of damage you can have. And the fact that we had one red power gem there actually reduced our damage by a bit. I would say probably would have been closer to 2 trillion instead of 1.7. But in that 2 trillion for hard one gorillas then translates to 10 trillion for a nuke damage. And so what you could really do here is keep in mind that hard one gorillas has a 2-turn cooldown. And so for this particular deck, if you take a look, Dame Regnell is the one that has the longest cooldown at 6 turns. And so if you have other options, I would say one of the things that you could do is instead of using Dame Regnell, just put in Voltreon in here. And so Voltreon is a card that has, also the ability to create 2 power gen force. So what you can do is you can use this, and then what it'll do is it will give you 4 power gem 4s, and then Abarca will then be able to create 10 power gem 2s. So you'll still be able to almost fill out the board, and you can still use this to your advantage. Now, in terms of the relics here, I'm not using the right relics here necessarily, but I'm just not creating additional power gems. You could actually switch this to, like in this case, I don't have the Earth Commander card in here. I don't have an Earth Commander Arcane Killer in this lineup. And the reason why that worked for me earlier, I guess I should have mentioned that, is that I had Dame Regnell, which was a Commander Arcane Killer. And because it's a Arcane Killer Commander card, I was able to use these relics from the Arcane from the Commander event. If you want to replace her, you want to use a different card, then you're gonna have to replace the relics as well. So again, pay attention to what cards you have on your. Pay attention to what cards you're using, and then fill in your relics accordingly. So in this case, if I don't use any commander cards, then I have to switch out my relics so I can benefit from the additional power gems that I will be creating here. If I were to basically use this team with this set of relics, I'm essentially losing out on 5 potential power gem 2s, which is very significant in terms of the damage output. And so that's something to consider as well. Now, some of the other things that you could think about doing, I don't really use the support card much because the support card only gives you 2 power gem 1s, and in no situation is this actually helpful, considering the fact that you have other cards that can really help you out. Now, what happens if you do have the event card? I wish I could show you, but basically what you want to do is you want to use Hard One Gorillas, you want to use your event, your ultimate form if you have it. And so I'm just going to basically take out one of the cards and say put your ultimate form from your event card in this slot. And then what you'll want to do is you want to put Hard One Gorillas in there, and then you essentially want to then now do something like this. You want to put a Jailers in here, and then you want to put the Consecrated Wizardress here, and then you're going to want to put in this card in here. I think this is a Immortal Killer? No, this is a Noble Killer. I think it was a... So you want to put in the Defiant Duet in here. And the order really is still going to be depending on which direction you want. You just put the Defiant Duet either far left or far right, and you start with that card. And then this is where your ultimate form for this event card, that's where it's going to go. If you do this, then you're essentially going to get 4 stacks of attack boost on top of the ultimate form, which will give you an attack boost, and your Hard One Gorillas is going to be capable of dealing somewhere around, at least, even if it's at 1 star, I think you're going to be able to get it to deal about 450 trillion damage in nuke. And your ultimate form should be able to deal somewhere around the 100 trillion damage mark by itself. And so you should have no problems whatsoever with this setup to get yourself MVP plus the 50%, even with a level 350 boss. And what I'm going to do here is, if I can, I'm going to see if I can jump into a boss here. So right here, so right now I'm going to have to clear out some of the bosses here. And this is how I was able to get myself the trophies, right? So if you take a look here, I am in Kings right now, but I am doing fairly well in this event because I have been able to jump in and do sufficient damage to get me. Earlier I was able to get MVP plus 50%, and now what I've been getting here is, I'm going to jump in here right now. I'm not going to show you. So this is going to be my main team, and now you can see already though, people have already taking it down to 500. So there's a chance that I'm going to do my first attack and the boss will be gone. And I guess this is also the opportunity to talk about my strategy. So what I do is I really kind of try to jump in as early as I can, but I've been doing a lot of key conservation. Okay, and so luckily I was able to get my second attack in, so that this will at least get me hopefully 5%. If I can get my nuke in, then I'll be able to get my 20%. So you can see here, I wasn't able to get my nuke in, but I was able to get 60 trillion plus another probably about 80 trillion total. And so that gets me at least the 5%. Okay, not significant when you consider the fact that at 20% I can get 120 million trophies, but that's because I jumped in late. So when I took a look at the boss, it already had 4 people on it, and even though it had pretty high health, my expectation is that other people are running similar teams that I am, and so it really comes down to a time time is of essence here. So if you can jump in as early as you can, then that's obviously going to be great. Key management is going to be important because we don't earn any keys anymore, and so you have to be able to get keys from the guild bosses. And so try not to jump into every single boss you see with 3 keys, because you're going to run out really quickly. And in those situations where you need the 9 keys to jump into an inferno boss, you want to make sure that you have at least that much to get in. And so what I actually do is I actually kind of wait for a boss to come in that I feel like I can jump in and deal some damage to. And that's been my strategy, and it's been working out. So let me know what you think. Let me know what are some of the strategies that you've employed. Let me know if these teams have worked out for you, and let me know if the suggestions I have has been helpful. So that's going to be it for today's video. So thank you very much for watching, and a reminder that in the next stream that I'll be having is going to be on Tuesdays. I will be doing another giveaway, so all you have to do is tune in and participate, and you can earn yourself a chance to win a prize as well. So thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye now.